rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'll ask Mr. Buter to take roll call, please.
Thank you, President. Councilwoman Covey?
Present.
Councilwoman Demko?
Here.
Councilman Sarsfield? Here. Councilman Varys?
Here.
Councilman Katina?
Here.
Council President DeLoss?
Here.
Mayor Kabiston? Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. This time we have a presentation to make, Mayor.
Yes. We have a church in our community that's celebrating their 125th anniversary, which is pretty substantial considering the borough will only be 120 next year. So it's older than the borough. Just give you a quick rundown on some of the chronological history of the church. The first Christian church, a preliminary meeting was held to organize a Christian church in the Mansfield area on May 1888. October 1888, O.H. Phillips was called to be the first minister. January 1890, the church building on Broadway Extension was dedicated. March 1894, fire destroyed the church building. That's happened to a few of our beautiful churches. That happened with Second Baptist also. September 1895, charter was granted for the first Christian church of Carnegie. March 1896, a contract was awarded to George Gore in the amount of $5,150. I love that figure. I had to say that. $5,150 to construct a new church building at Anthony and Lydia Streets. So that beautiful building you see coming in cost $5,000. I know. December 1896, the new building was dedicated. And then I'll fast forward here to in 1960, well, we'll go in 1949, a new organ was dedicated. In 1960, a major remodeling of the interior of the church began. This included refinishing the main auditorium. In 1964, a beautiful walnut cross was hung on a newly painted auditorium. 1968, the burning of the mortgage was held, which is always a good feeling. This was only the second time in the church's history this had been done. And in 1968, they celebrated their 80th anniversary. And in 1998, they celebrated their 100th anniversary. And, 1988 was their 100th anniversary. And then this year is their 125th anniversary. Obviously, I fast forward a little bit, but we're here to have a proclamation for the First Christian Church, and we have their pastor and Pastor Gary Miller and John Chasky here. If you gentlemen would like to stand, I'd like to read you the proclamation. I know our councilman Mike Sarsfield also attends his church, so when we present this, I appreciate it if you would help me. Thank you. The Borough of Carnegie Proclamation presented on October 14, 2013 to the members of First Christian Church. Whereas the First Christian Church was founded in 1888, rebuilt after the 1894 fire at the corner of Anthony and Lydia Streets, and dedicated on December 6, 1896, where it still stands proudly and majestically at the entrance of Carnegie. And whereas the First Christian Church has continuously served the spiritual needs of the residents of Carnegie Borough for 125 years, and whereas under the dedicated leadership of Pastor Gary Miller, the First Christian Church continues to be an active and vital member of the Carnegie evangelical community. Now therefore, I, Mayor Jack Kabistic, along with the Borough Council, proclaim October 27, 2013 as First Christian Church Day here in the Borough of Carnegie in honor of their 125th anniversary, and wish Pastor Gary Miller and his congregation continued success in the ministering to the spiritual needs of the residents of the Carnegie area. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the church, we'd like to thank everyone for this proclamation and appreciate your concern. Thank you.
Pastor, before you go, do you want to talk a little bit about the event you have coming up too?
October 26th is a Saturday. It's 6 o'clock at night. We're going to have our Rob Brandy's going to be there with a concert. And on Sunday morning, our morning worship at 10:45, he'll be bringing the morning message. And so everyone's welcome to come either Saturday night, Sunday, or both. We have park. If you know what a church is, it's kind of a bad section as far as traffic. We have a right Pontiac parking lot. You can park over there. We got permission from them, and the other lot that's beside it. So it's October 26th at 6, and then October 27th at 10:45. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There are agendas posted at the table as you walked in, listing the motions that we will attend to this evening. If you have any questions or comments regarding these motions, this is the time to speak before we act on them. Any of the listed motions that are here, if you have any questions or comments, please step up to make them.
Can anyone give me a date when that house in Anthony Street, 519 Anthony, will be torn down?
No, we do not have a date on that yet, John.
There's something got to be done there, like the house is falling down. Well, like Russia, yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
There are no comments on the listed motions. We'll proceed. I will start with Administration and Finance, Councilman Katina.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to approve the minutes from the council meeting on September 9th, 2013.
Second. Comments? Should be noted that these minutes also include the minutes of a public meeting that we held just before the meeting regarding parking on Beechwood and one-way traffic on
Correct.
Capitol.
Which no decision still has been made on that, obviously.
Any other comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Demko?
Yes.
Councilman Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilman Barris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Covey?
Yes.
Councilman Katina?
Yes.
President Delos?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to approve the October bill list and bill list addendum.
Second. Comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilwoman Covey?
Yes.
Councilwoman Demko?
Yes.
Councilman Barris?
No.
Councilman Katina?
Yes.
Council President Delos?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to accept the 2013 minimum municipal obligation report for the borough manager, from the borough manager.
Second. Comments? Manager, could you explain what exactly this report is for the folks out there?
This report is the amount that the borough will contribute towards the police pension plan for the upcoming year.
Thank you. Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Katina?
Yes.
Councilwoman Covey?
Yes.
Councilman Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilwoman Demko?
Yes.
Councilman Barris?
Yes.
President Delos?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Code enforcement motions, please, Councilwoman Cody. None, excuse me.
Don't have any this evening, Mr. President. Thank you.
Public works motions, please, Councilman Demko.
Motion to approve payment to Solai Construction, Inc. in the amount of $122,299.20 for the 2013-3A excavation sanitary sewer repair contract for work completed between September 1st and September 23rd, 2013. Second.
Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilman Barris?
Yes.
Councilman Katina?
Yes.
Councilwoman Demko?
Yes.
Councilwoman Covey?
Yes.
President Delos?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to approve payment to the State Pipe Services, Inc. in the amount of $54,608 $1,002.98 for the 2013-3B relining sanitary sewer repair contract for work completed between August 5th and September 4th, 2013.
Second.
Comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Barris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Covey?
Yes.
Councilman Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilwoman Demko?
Yes.
Councilman Katina?
Yes.
President DeLoss?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to approve payment to A. Polino Construction, Inc. in the amount of $125,347.36 for the work completed through September 25th, 2013 for the 2013 pavement maintenance program.
Second.
Comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Katina?
Yes.
Councilman Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilwoman Covey?
Yes.
Councilman Barris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Demko?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to ratify a phone vote of Borough Council taken on September 27th, 2013 to approve an emergency job by the Department of Public Works on Mary Street at a cost of $9,000.
Second.
Comments, could you explain just briefly, Mr. Superintendent, what the repair was?
Yes, we had a hillside tower collapse on Mary Street, so it's a hazard repair, so we just had it repaired first.
And the sidewalk has been,
The sidewalk is out, we got to pick, we don't have paved yet.
it's not paved yet?
It's still walking.
Okay. But it's safe to walk and,
It's safe to walk.
Okay.
It's still open.
okay. All right, but the intention is to redo the sidewalk, when, next summer or?
Next summer.
Next summer. Thank you. Any other comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Covey?
Yes.
Councilwoman Demko?
Yes.
Councilman Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilman Barris?
Yes.
Councilman Katina?
Yes.
President DeLoss?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And D is tabled or held?
Motion E, we are deleting from the agenda this evening because we are not ready to do that. Thank you. We have no public safety motions this evening. We'll proceed to motions for community development. Councilman Beers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion A, to ratify the decision of the Planning Commission recommending to council the lot subdivision located at 150 Roslyn Road, number 104-M-190, contingent upon receiving a variance from the zoning hearing board.
Second.
This is a piece of property that currently has a billboard on it for Dollar Bank. And it's over near the Parkway. And they needed to rezone a piece of that property regarding that sign. And it required a variance. If there are no other comments, I'll ask all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, committee reports. Councilman Katina.
Thank you, Mr. President. October 31st, last date to pay tax bills before the penalty hits, so please get your tax money in for your real estate taxes. Last month, I talked a little bit about delinquent sewage and the problem that there seemed to be a lot of complaints this summer, particularly for me, about how bills were higher than normal because there were people watering lawns, filling pools, what have you. Well, I started to look into this a little more in more detail and try to come up with a solution that would benefit these people or that would make it a little bit easier for these people. And anytime you start to look into something, you start to find some problems, obviously. Right now, we have about $168,000 that's delinquent in sewage. That's about 247 accounts that's greater than $200 that people owe to the borough. So the process is that when you're delinquent, your water can potentially be shut off. So we're highly encouraging these individuals to set up payment plans to avoid any possible posting of terminating your water, because we obviously don't want that to happen. But you need to contact Jordan Tax Service and please set up payment plans. Now concerning that, we obviously need to collect that portion of revenue, but I made a proposal to council tonight in the back room when we were in there, that over what I originally proposed, my original plan for this was to come up with a credit for the summer months and apply a credit if you fill out the slip for basically residential properties that were owner occupied. You would come into the borough, fill out this form, and you would get a possible rebate over the summer months. Well, as I said, once I started looking into this, I realized this was not going to be an easy solution to administer. So the solution that I came up with is actually reducing the sewage rates across the board for everybody. The current rate for Carnegie is 7.18, and the Alcoasand rate is 4.32. Now, the average family in Carnegie, and there's around 3,200 accounts that Jordan services in Carnegie, but the average account uses about 5,000 gallons a month. That's 2 adults and 1 child. So roughly, your bills for Carnegie, just for the Carnegie piece of this delinquent or this sewage piece, is around $36. Alcoasand charges an additional $22. So your total bill is anywhere between $57 to $60 roughly. What we currently bring in right now at this rate is around $1.4 million. Alcoasand collects $847,000. So it's a hefty chunk of money. And these motions tonight that we read about the Solai construction, the amount of $122,000, and the motion to approve payment to the state pipe services for another $54,000, all of these funds come out of the sewage account. So basically what I'm proposing is over a 3-year period, it would be a reduction of 50 cents per year over those 3 years. And in year 1, it would be, if it would drop from 7.18 to 6.68 for the Carnegie portion, it would then drop to 6.6, it would drop from 7.18 to 6.68, then from 6.68 down to 6.18, and then down to 5.68. What this means to actually the budget number, the bottom line budget number is, like I said, right now we're bringing in around $1.4 million. Now that is based upon a 100% collection rate. But over a 3-year period, that would mean a drop of about $300,000 roughly. And anytime that we're doing the budget or what have you, we typically look at the budget and say these projects will fit based upon this amount of dollars. And I've asked council tonight that I'd like to sit down with our engineer and make sure this is a feasible figure, because I personally believe it's very doable. And I think it's something that we owe to the residents. We've talked about this for a number of years, and we've sort of never really delivered on, we raised the taxes to pay for all these sewer repairs, and we sort of never went back and reevaluated them. And Councilwoman Demko has been talking about this year after year after year, and it took me to start to get complaints over the summer, and that's when, like I said, I started looking into this to try to figure out if we could do something. Like I said, I thought it would be a simple proposal, and then it just turned into something that I think we need to do for everybody based upon these figures. So I know that that's probably over a lot of people's heads, a lot of numbers out there, but if you have any questions after the meeting, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about them. But basically, that's the proposal that I came up with to try to work on sewage rates and hopefully get them down to a little bit of a lower rate. It's going to mean roughly, over a 3-year period, it's roughly going to mean roughly an $8 savings over a 3-year period. But it's still something back in your pockets, which I hope at some point that we can do it, and I hope this will work out for everybody. So, thank you, Mr. President.
And that's provided Alcoasand doesn't raise their rates.
And unfortunately, what the problem may be is that Alcoasand, There might be a reduction in Carnegie's rates,
Right.
but El Casan may in turn raise their rates.
Which is probably a good bet.
Yeah, so it might be revenue neutral at the end of the day. I mean, Carnegie's still lowering their rates, but El Casan's obviously raising theirs because we all know there's a $500 billion project that's due by 2025 for the sewage lines. El Casan is in a consent decree to basically deliver on, so we'll see what happens. But if you saw the papers, the city of Pittsburgh basically just raised their rates for the third consecutive year. But I think if we live within our means with this budget, I think this is very doable. So, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Code Enforcement Committee, Councilwoman Kobe.
We have nothing to report this evening, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works.
Nothing to report.
Public Safety, Councilman Sarsfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. First off, I want to let everybody know October 31st, Halloween in Carnegie. Please be careful. We love it when the children come out, but sometimes kids don't always cross at the intersections when they're supposed to. So just be very cautious and very cognizant that night. Let the children go out and have fun. And, if you are passing out candy, make sure your porch light's on and all that good stuff so the kids know to come and get their treats from you. Also, I want to make everybody aware that's not aware that we have a major project going on 3rd Street that is a continuation from Heidelberg through Scott Township and now into Carnegie. So there will be no parking on the that would be the east side of west side of 3rd Street. There will be no parking on the west side of 3rd Street, and also parking on the sidewalks, jumping the curb. There's some brand new sidewalks being put in. It's cost you the taxpayers. The money was originally came through the federal government. It's everybody's tax money at work. So we want to preserve those sidewalks. So just be cognizant that, moving forward, once the project's completed, if you park on the wrong side, it'll be, I don't know if anybody's driven down Crothers Avenue and is seeing how that is. It'll just be a continuation. There'll be a white line which acts as a bump out. That's where you'll be able to park. On the opposite side of the street, you won't. If you park there, you will get a ticket. And that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Community Development, Councilman Veras.
I have, one thing here. For all the voters in Ward 2, District 1 and 2, who used to vote at the library, the Carnegie Free Library, will now vote at the Ukes Club on Mansfield Boulevard. That's going to start this November 5th election. So there is a change this year. The library had serviced the voters for about 3 or 4 years up there, and they decided they didn't want to do it anymore. So it'll be at the Ukes Club, Ward 2, only Districts 1 and 2, or anybody that used to vote at the library. That's all I have.
Thank you. So the wards 2, 3, and 4 district will still be at the Carnegie Elementary School?
Yes.
Thank you.
Steve, can we get that on the website too?
And
Bob.
Megan, could you do, that's fairly big, and the Election Bureau is supposed to notify the residents within 3 weeks, and I know there's no letters that anyone received.
Councilman Veras received it only because he's the
I
chair
got
of the
a
committee in Carnegie.
Actually, I got an email.
Okay.
And they normally send this out, like you said, about a month in advance, but they didn't do any of that this year. I don't know what's wrong.
Okay, big deal. Thank you. President's report, a couple of items. Parking on the sidewalks, as Councilman Sarsfield mentioned, it continues to be a problem in Carnegie. It's a historic, decades-long problem in town. It damages our sidewalks. We recognize that in a lot of places that parking is limited, but it beats up the sidewalks. I mean, if you look on Washington Avenue, the curbs are busted off, the sidewalks are all cracked to pieces from people parking. And some of it is from residents who live in apartments. Others, over the years, are people who were attending funerals or were going to church. But it's just, it's really taken the toll. At some point, I think council is going to have to draw a line and say, going forward, people will not be allowed to park on the sidewalks. And that'll be very painful because it's where people are used to parking. But as we improve, as we fix streets and fix sidewalks, we need to maintain them. And it's pretty hard to tell a property owner who is responsible for a sidewalk in front of his home or in front of his business that he needs to fix his sidewalk, which is damaged because people have been parking on it. I would be upset if someone came to me from council and said, you need to fix your sidewalk because your neighbors have been parking on it and broke it. So we need to, I think, address this at some point in the future. 3rd Street is just one example of where we're putting in new curbs and sidewalks, and people are already starting to pull up on top of them just because of force of habit. We are in budget season right now. We held our first budget meeting 2 weeks ago. Next budget meeting is next Monday night, and the following Monday nights, the 21st and 28th of October. You may find these meetings to be boring, but they are open to the public as you observe our deliberations on how we're going to spend your money next year. So just be aware these meetings are open to the public if you should have any interest in attending. That's in the next 2 Monday nights in a row. There's another meeting, a 4th meeting scheduled for the 18th of October, or 18th of November, if necessary. We may have it wrapped up before then, and we would shoot for a December 9th a ratification approval of the budget in December, at the public meeting in December. Last week, the signage committee in town met. A couple of years ago, council made a commitment to do something about the poor directional signs in town. Over the last 5 years, I think we could say that we're proud that there are more people coming to Carnegie for events. They're attending music events at the Library Music Hall, plays. We have some businesses that are opening in Carnegie during the past years, restaurants, theaters, galleries, and people come to Carnegie to see something and they don't know where it is. There's just has been historically no signage for these things. So we committed to improve the directional wayfinding signs in town, as well as to purchase some welcome signs to the town, other than the small signs that we have now. So we committed to do that, and the Carnegie Community Development Corporation, the CCDC, has offered to help us fund that. So together, the borough and the CCDC are funding this project, and the committee met again this past week and is just about ready to issue a bid for contracts, with the intention that we would start seeing signs going up in the spring. This would coincide with a event we're planning for the spring. Actually, the mayor and the CCDC are planning for the spring, a summit for business attraction to the borough. So that's where that is at the moment. A number of these signs are going to go on the light poles that you see on Main Street. We have 20 years ago now installed decorative light poles on Main Street. Some of them on the more easterly end of Main Street are a faded brown, olive drab color, and the ones more toward the middle of Main Street are a bright teal color, I guess you would call it. I don't know what the proper color it is. You may or may not like it. It's one of those things that everybody has an opinion about, and nobody's neutral on the color of those poles. But they are 20 years old, and they're getting to the point where they need to be repainted. And it's a very expensive proposition because we're talking about Main Street all the way from Jefferson to Sandsbury. And I would ask council that despite the high cost, that it at least consider some type of a proposal for doing a certain number per year, because the cost is too overwhelming to try to do all of them at one time. If need be, to pick one block per year and repaint those poles until you can get all the way to the end. But they're in sore need of improving their appearance. With the 3rd Street project, we're getting new light poles on 3rd Street. And it would be nice if we could refurbish the others that are on Main Street to match. So I know that's an expensive thing, Mr. Budgetmeister, but if you could maybe
What's expensive?
take a look at
How
that.
much is expensive?
We don't actually know that number because it's really kind of off the charts. There's a lot of poles. I mean, we're talking a lot of light poles.
They're very beautiful, though.
Yes, they are. Lastly, I would just mention that we don't normally talk about issues of our federal government here in local Carnegie, but if you're following the news, you know that this week the chairman of our Treasury says that the United States is going to run out of money, and that Congress needs to do something about that. My comment would be to you is that we should recognize the seriousness of this matter. Each of you know what happens in your homes if you don't pay your bills. If you miss a mortgage payment or a car payment, your credit rating goes down. You become a greater risk for borrowing. And maybe that's not a crisis in your household, but our federal government borrows a ton of money. And it borrows it from a lot of different places. And if the interest rates the federal government has to pay are dramatically increased because of a default or a lack of certainty of payment, that's going to trickle down to everybody in this room. Because most of the stuff that you buy, if you take out a mortgage for a house or a loan for a car or just your credit card debt, those rates that you have are established by the bank, and that bank is basing its finances on what the federal government interest rate is. So I think we should all be very concerned about this. It's not something that we can just pretend isn't real and isn't serious. And I hope the folks in Washington realize the importance of what they're doing, because it's going to affect every person in this country if they screw it up. It's really a big deal, and we'll just hope that in the next couple of days they resolve this. That's all I have at the moment. Is there anyone from the fire department here to speak on behalf of the fire department?
Nobody's present, Mr. President.
Thank you. Junior counsel.
St. Elizabeth Ann Seton's Community Farm Stand, located in the church parking lot on 3rd Street, will be open every Wednesday from 12 to 6 p.m.
Joel, what time of the year? Do we know?
Yeah, actually, it's about the end of October.
End of October.
Do you want this, Brittany? Because if not, I was going
Grimm's Ghostly Golf, which is a mini golf with a Halloween theme, is open October 17th through 30th. On Thursdays and Fridays, the hours are 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the week of Halloween is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Prices are $5 for adults and $3 for kids 12 and under. It's located on the corner of Steuben and Linden, in Crafton, and the proceeds benefit Carleton student government.
Very good.
That'll be almost as fun guys are on a trail. That's okay.
Almost. Thank you.
There will be a history and mystery tour at the Carnegie Library and Music Hall Sunday, October 27th from 5 to 9 p.m. You can listen to the fascinating story of this mysterious structure along with tales of ghostly experiences and encounters at the facility. The cost is $10, and for more information, go to www.carnegie.org or call 412-276-3456, extension 7.
Jason, correct. Congratulations on being in the homecoming court.
St. Louis Fancy Eats rubber sale is on October 24th, 25th, and 26th. Thursday and Friday it's 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then Saturday it's 9 a.m. to noon. And then Bishop Canvas 12th annual holiday craft show is on November 17th. It's 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There will be 130 crafters in the gym, cafe halls. There'll be lunch and baked goods along with holiday music. And then there'll be an auction and 50/50 raffle.
What were the times? What was the time of that one? For the craft?
10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you, junior council members. At this time, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The September numbers look like this. Criminal arrests were 20, traffic citations number 38, parking tickets 137, complaints and self-initiated activity by our department were 857. Just want to provide a little alert that the Mayor's Association sent out earlier in the month. There's two scams that seem to be flooding the market at this time. One of them is a healthcare/Medicare scam, where individuals are calling your house and trying to sign you up for the new healthcare law or the new Medicare program through the healthcare law. Either way, they try to get your personal information when they ask that. That's not the proper way to sign up. There is a proper way. But somebody cold calling you and soliciting that information, you should be leery of that and should not give out any information. The other scam the Mayor's Association wanted the mayors to warn the public about was the outstanding ticket/fine scam. There's individuals calling they'll call your house and they'll tell you that you have an outstanding ticket or an outstanding fine that hasn't been paid, maybe 20 years old, and they're going to send somebody over to arrest you, and unless you pay the fine immediately. And some people have been paying the fine. Once again, they will even use local police departments, so be very careful. They've used local police departments that you would recognize the name. So if you hear something like that, do not pay that. Most likely it's a scam, but you can always contact our police department and ask questions. I wanted to talk about the New Works Festival. They closed up shop this year. It was a very successful year. They broke their attendance record. They were very happy being here in Carnegie. There were a lot of local businesses that were participating in with the New Works that received some business from it. Susie's, Awards, Cheesecake, Sunset, Cephalo's are just a few to mention, in which they ordered catered food from these individuals. So it really did feed out into the business community. They had a final awards ceremony at Cephalo's, and we had two of our Carnegie dignitaries that were presenters there. Phil Salvato and Maggie Forbes were presenters. It was a great evening, and they're looking forward to coming back next year. So it was really a nice event. The thing I enjoyed about it the most is that if you saw all 12 plays, you actually got to vote for the awards. So it was nice. November 15th at 8 p.m., our Carnegie Police Department will be taking on the Carnegie Elementary teachers, boo, in a basketball fundraiser for the PTA. This This will be the first time that we're doing something like this. This was the idea of our new chief, Chief Kennedy, and everybody's kind of excited about it, and I'm hearing through the grapevine that the Carnegie teachers are even talking a little smack. So there's an admission fee for this. It's a Carnegie Elementary. I think it's $4 for adults, $2 for students. So pack the house and support the PTA. November 15th, 8 p.m. Our last flag ceremony will be, for this year, will be on October 26th. It'll be for Charles Russ Liddell. It'll be at 10 a.m. on October 24th, sorry. And they're going to do it up with a bang. You could say they're actually having a 21-gun salute. So, Chief, I'm warning you now, there'll be people there with firearms for the 21-gun salute for the last ceremony for the year. Here's something extremely interesting. Everybody's heard of the Pittsburgh Magazine. Well, the Pittsburgh Magazine covers the entire region, and Carnegie will not be featured, but we'll have a little about town spot in there. They went all through Carnegie, picked out some of the spots that they liked, and they're going to be reporting on that in the Pittsburgh Magazine in the November issue. So I can't wait to see it. The interesting thing is that the editor, Cindy Loss, was talking to me about why they picked Carnegie, because I was curious to find out that she said, and this is basically verbatim from what she said, is that she drives through the town all the time coming home, and she has noticed a lot of things happening here, so she wanted to do a little story about that. So that was a very nice compliment. I want to thank everybody who organized the Jazz on 3rd. It was a nice, successful event. I want to thank all those who organized the Greenspan meeting. We talked about a few projects on beautifying the community, and there's a lot of potential volunteer work in these projects, so keep your ears open in the future if you're interested in helping beautify some of the areas in this community. Councilman Sarsfield mentioned Halloween. The hours for Halloween will be 6 to 8 p.m. on October 31st. And that is before the time change. The time change doesn't happen, I think, until November 3rd. So you still may have a little bit of daylight at 6 p.m. October was an extremely busy month here in Carnegie. Without a doubt, there was something to do every weekend, and many weekends, multiple things to do in October. But I do want to bring your attention to a few other national things that are going on in October. Of course, we all know that October is the National Breast Care Awareness Month, and we see that everywhere, from high school football to professional football to many other avenues where everybody's wearing pink. So, but it's a very serious disease, and anything you can do to support that would be great. The other thing that October is, it's the National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. A lot of people are wearing these purple ribbons to support the awareness for domestic violence. A few years ago, we had an unfortunate incident in our community, and it really hit home. So I think everybody needs to do whatever they can to support this cause. And then the last thing, this is from the Mayor's Association. I have no clue about this either. They sent this out, and they're trying to promote this through the Mayor's Association, and it's actually National Teen Driver Safety Week, October 18th through October 26th. Just a few facts about this is the CCDC says the leading cause of deaths among teenagers is actually driving accidents. And this is a very grim statistic right here is 7 teenagers, ages 16 to 19, die every day from an accident in a vehicle. So what you can do during this week, if you have teenagers or no teenagers, by all means have a conversation with them. Talk to them about some of the important things, wearing seatbelts, the dangers of distracted driving, texting while you're driving, right, Megan? Texting's bad. And the alcohol, no alcohol. A lot of the accidents are alcohol related, and we all know that it's just illegal for teens to drive, and it's illegal for anyone to drive with alcohol, and a teen should never have access to alcohol. So. And then the last thing I want to say is that this is another interesting thing. We are the first community to have this. I don't know if you've heard of a group called Sustainable Pittsburgh, and what they do is they've been established to try to promote sustainability throughout communities and businesses. They have a lot of programs going on. Well, this next program that they're going to run, it's the first one of this anywhere in this area, is they're going to have a cash mob. Some of you may have heard of a cash mob before. It's basically where you find a struggling small business and they promote it on the internet, and for a couple hours on a certain day, they get people from all over to come and spend money at this business to help support this business. Well, Sustainable Pittsburgh has taken that and given a little bit of a different twist. And we're going to have a cash mob here in Carnegie, but it's going to involve businesses that have been rated sustainable through their program. And we actually have 6 businesses here in Carnegie that have been rated sustainable, and they will be involved in this cash mob. The cash mob will be on Friday, November 1st, and it will be from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So they're trying to capture a lot of the daytime population or retired individuals who are around during the day. And the businesses involved will be distinctively different decor and more. They won a gold award for sustainability. Black Lamp Consignments won a bronze award for sustainability. And then these other 4 companies were all silver winners. Modern Mercantile of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Coffee Company, More Than Words Fine Papers, and Pullman's Flower Shops were all silver award winners for sustainability. So the cash mob for the 2 hours is going to focus on giving business to these 6 businesses here in our community. So pay attention, there'll be more information about that. And I think that's a very interesting proposition, and I think it's neat that we're first on the list for that. Mr. President, that's all I have today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What was the date again on that cash?
November 1st.
And the time was?
11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m.
So go get your coffee, go across the street and buy some cards, and then go down the street and buy your wife some flowers. There you go.
You can't lose with that.
3 out of 6 right there.
At this time, we open up the microphone to anyone who wants to speak on any topic or which is on your mind. Feel free to come up, state your name, where you live, and your comments, please.
Hi, my name is Lisa Lanero. I actually live in Collier Township, but I'm here regarding the Presley Heights development. I believe Phase 2 is the Carnegie portion of that development. And there's been rumblings that Mr. Patel, the owner of the development, is trying to revise the plans to make it more buyer-friendly in the Carnegie section where the townhouses are going to be built.
He has requested tax deferments, but that's the only buyer-friendly piece that I would be aware of. He has approached the school district for tax reductions to make the prices a little more attractive to the customers. Is anyone else aware of any other activities Mr. Patel is engaged in?
Okay, so, I mean, like I said, it's hearsay, but there's been rumors that he's going to sort of downgrade the townhouse that he's building as opposed to what he originally proposed in his plan, which was approved.
Yes, is anybody aware of any change in plans?
No.
This happened at you heard this through the Collier meetings, right?
Well, no, I brought it up at the Collier meeting, but
Okay.
it wasn't,
All right.
like I said, it was heard from someone that's, hasn't been substantiated, but I wanted to bring it to the attention.
We have not been approached yet with any change of the project.
Okay, I also have a huge concern, I'm not sure if anyone on the board is aware of the damage that has been done in Collier Township, specifically Cubbage Hill, due to the water runoff and the poor drainage system, if you will, in Presley Heights.
We are very much aware of it. Both our manager and our solicitor have been working with our engineers and with Mr. Patel to address some of these concerns. Steve, if you want to say what has been done to date on that?
Pretty much what has been done today is Presley Heights and their development have been asked to stabilize some of the ground that wasn't worked on for so long due to not building. And to date, I know that everything that we've requested through our engineers as well as the engineering for Collier has been completed.
This was for putting vegetation there to stabilize the runoff?
Correct.
And was there some issue also with water retention ponds or something related to that?
I believe that the detention ponds are in the Collier portion of the
That's my next question. How is it possible that the Colliers, the retention pond that is in place is obsolete? It's overflown, it's not draining properly, there's stagnant water in there, and that's just from the Collier side. How is it supposed to also sustain runoff from the Carnegie side if it's already not working? Is there a retention, are you going to require Mr. Patel to purchase property in the Carnegie section and have another retention
Do
pond?
you know if Mr. Solicitor did?
Well, truthfully, what was brought to our attention was a list of things that were being required by that were wanted to be done by the Collier engineer. Our engineer was in communications with them. To my knowledge, Mr. Patel has complied with every request. He's been amenable to every request that was made by Leonard Smith, which is Collier's engineer. To the details of what needs to be done, our engineer is not here, so I don't think anybody could really get into the details. What I can tell you has been everything that was requested by Collier has been presented to Mr. Patel, and it was reported back by our engineer that Presley Heights Development Corporation is amenable to and trying to do everything that Leonard Smith has requested.
Well, I can tell you, they've only been trying for the last maybe 3 weeks or a month. They haven't.
Well, this has only been going on this has only been going on. We've only known about this for about 2 months.
Well, Presley Heights Development in itself, he's not very quick at.
But it was only brought to our attention, and there is it's very aware to the borough. Borough is very aware of the problem. The Carleton School District is very aware of it. And both entities are doing what we can to alleviate the problem.
Well, the other concern I have is if there's problems on the Carnegie side and there's runoff, but it damages a home in Collier, can Collier come to you for restitution on that? Or who does the homeowner see about damage that's been caused by the construction on the Carnegie Phase 2?
If there is damage caused by property, this is private property. So if there's damage caused by a private property, you would go after the private property owner.
Do you have a bond on Mr. Patel as well? I know Collier does.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Well, I just want to, like I said, I know you said you've been in touch with people from Collier, but there have been people who've literally sustained tens of thousands.